We're constantly bombarded with health advice, right? But what if the best advice was also the simplest? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're getting straight to the science of walking and what actually makes a difference. So let's get into it. Think about it. We're always being told, eat this, not that. You got to join a gym. You should run a marathon. It's exhausting. But what if all you really needed to do was just walk? I know. It sounds almost too easy to be true, but trust me, the science behind this is surprisingly powerful. Okay, but first things first, we have to get one major thing out of the way. You know that magic number you've been chasing on your fitness tracker? Yeah, that one. 10,000 steps. Well, it's not what you think it is. In fact, for our purposes here, we're just gonna throw it right out. Because this isn't about chasing some random arbitrary number. No, this is about a smarter, way more effective approach to walking. An approach that's actually backed by science and that you can tailor to your goals. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the surprising magic of a really short walk. Then, we're going to bust that 10,000 step myth wide open. We'll also get into the best time to walk, how to supercharge your stroll, and why the where really, really matters. And at the end, we'll put it all together so you can design your perfect walk. All right, let's dive into our first topic. This is the most foundational idea, really. The profound impact of a super short, totally achievable walk. Seriously, this is where the magic begins. So, you see official guidelines like this one from the UK, right? And they often recommend something like 150 minutes of activity a week. And let's be honest, for a lot of us, that number just feels huge. It's so easy to look at that and think, "Ugh, I just don't have time for that." And then you end up doing nothing at all. We've all been there. But check this out. This chart shows us something absolutely crucial about effort and reward. See that really steep curve on the left? That tells you that the biggest, most incredible health gains happen when you go from doing nothing to doing just a little something. That very first step is, without a doubt, the most powerful one you can take. So what exactly does a little something get you? Well, a report from Public Health England found that just 10 minutes of brisk walking every single day can lead to all of this. We're talking increased physical fitness, a better mood, a healthier weight, and just a better quality of life overall. But it's this last point that's the real showstopper. A 15% reduction in the risk of early death. Wow. Just let that sink in for a second. 10 minutes a day. See, it's not about hitting some huge, intimidating target. It's about starting small and just being consistent. That first 10-minute walk, it's literally the most important one of your entire day. Okay, so if just 10 minutes is that powerful, you're probably wondering, where on earth did that whole 10,000 step rule even come from? It's a great question. Let's clear the air and see what the science really has to say about it. Believe it or not, the story starts back in 1965 in Japan, right after the Tokyo Olympics. A company released the very first consumer pedometer, and they gave it a catchy name, Monpolke. And what does that mean? It literally translates to 10,000 step meter. So get this, it wasn't based on some big scientific study. Nope. It was a marketing slogan. And don't just take my word for it. As Harvard epidemiologist Eamon Lee puts it, it was a made-up number, it just sounded good, was easy to remember. And fun fact, the Japanese character for 10,000 even kind of looks like a person walking. How wild is that? It was absolutely brilliant marketing that just sort of became a global health mantra completely by accident. So, what does the real science show us? Well, a huge meta-analysis found that just going from 2,000 steps to about 4,000 steps, that's linked to a 30% drop in mortality risk. That's big. Now get up to 7,000, and that risk reduction jumps to nearly 50%. But here's the fascinating part. Look what happens after that. The benefits start to level off right around 7,500 steps. That's the sweet spot. Sure, more is fine, but it's not where you're going to see those giant leaps in benefit. All right, let's move on to our next little hack. We've talked about how much you walk, right? But it turns out that when you walk can make a huge difference, offering some very specific, and let's be honest, very welcome benefits. Taking just a short 10 to 15-minute walk right after a meal does 3 pretty amazing things. First, it gets your digestion going, gently speeding things along. Second, it can really help with that awful bloating and gas feeling. And third, and this is a big one, it helps blunt those big blood sugar spikes. Your muscles start soaking up the glucose from your meal right away, which gives your pancreas a much-needed break. It's such a simple trick for better metabolic health.
So, we've covered duration and we've covered timing. Now, let's talk about intensity. What if you want to turn a simple walk into a legitimate full body workout? Well, there's a fantastic way to do exactly that.
I want you to meet Nordic walking. By using these poles, you're not just working your legs anymore. Oh no. When you plant those poles and push off, you are actively firing up your chest, your back, your arms, and your core with every single step. It totally transforms walking into a full body experience. And the difference is huge. Studies show this technique can crank up your energy consumption by up to 46% compared to regular walking at the same speed. That's not just a small change. That is a serious upgrade. Okay, so we've got duration, we've got timing, we've got intensity. But there is one final, and I mean crucial element that can completely change the entire experience and all the benefits you get. And that's the environment. Where you choose to walk really truly matters. So, a massive meta-analysis looked at the difference between walking in natural green environments versus walking in urban ones. And the results? They couldn't be clearer. A walk out in nature, what researchers actually call green exercise, is way more effective at reducing things like anxiety and fatigue. At the same time, it boosts all the good stuff. Positive feelings, energy, that sense of just feeling refreshed and revitalized. Taking that exact same walk on a busy city street, it just doesn't deliver the same mental health punch. Not even close. All right, we have busted some major myths, and we've learned some really cool new strategies. So now it's time to put it all together and figure out how to design your perfect walk. So the biggest takeaway here is that you are in the driver's seat. Think of everything we've talked about as 4 different levers you can pull. And you don't have to pull them all at once. If you just need a quick start, focus on the duration lever. If you want to help your digestion, pull the timing lever. Feeling ambitious and want to burn more calories? Go for the intensity lever. And if you really need a mental reset, you know which one to pull, the location lever. You can mix and match these any way you want to build the walk that is absolutely perfect for you on any given day. So, for example, imagine a 15-minute Nordic walk through a park right after lunch. Boom! You just pulled 3 levers at once: timing, intensity, and location, for a massive boost to both your physical and your mental health. So there you have it. You've got the science and you've got the strategy. It's not about hitting some random step count anymore, is it? It's about being smart and making your walk work for you. So the only question left is, now that you're armed with all this knowledge, what's your next walk gonna look like?